good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Vanessa Grillet. I'm the Global Head of Alliances and Channels, and I'm joined today by three amazing panelists, the first of which is my colleague, Tom Lindemann, who leads our ISV partners community, Arnie Wajonson, who's the lead software engineer at Monerium, and Cale Teeter, who's a senior software engineer at Microsoft. So before we head off, I want to level set everyone around what is the partner program, because it is a new program that we rolled out this year, and would love to ask Tom to sort of give us insight about what is the partner program, what are the benefits, and how can companies get involved.
Sure, thanks, Vanessa. As Vanessa said, it's kind of a new endeavor. It's evolved a little bit over the last 6 or 8 months. It really got kicked off in our Pegasus group by someone on our team named Grace Hartley. And today, it's evolved into sort of two pieces of one pie. We have partners that are reseller partners that are going to market together with us and jointly selling our products. Sometimes we're bundling their products into the deal as well. So we have a great partnership there that's focused a lot on revenue. And the other side of the program is for technology partners and ISVs that are building software and then selling that into the market. And there we're looking for sort of these better together solutions where we're taking things to customers and there's an actual integration with one of our APIs or an on-ramp into one of our DeFi products that you'll hear about later, that kind of stuff. And sometimes those partners then evolve into resellers as well. So we have a kind of this chain of bringing partners on board. In the benefits view of things, we help them from a technology point of view. We get them in touch with our development teams, figure out the use cases, what are the gaps that we're trying to fill, how to really bring joint value to the market together with the partner in ConsenSys. And then we also provide a bunch of training, sales materials, webinars with our own sales team, et cetera, to get everybody up to speed.
Great, thank you, Tom. So I'm going to move on to Arnie. Arnie, you're the lead software engineer at Monerium. Tell us more about your company and what excited you about joining the ConsenSys Partner Program.
Yeah, hi. Okay, so about our company, so we're called Monerium. So we're actually a financial institution that is the bridge between traditional banking systems and blockchains. So essentially what we do is to create a unique bank account number or IBAN for our customers that they can use to directly transfer money between banks and their blockchain addresses. So we just connect their blockchain address to this bank account. So the good thing about that, there are no exchanges or fees that are happening, so anything kind of delays. It's actually the same money, just on chain, and then it's of course smarter and safer. We're actually the first regulated financial institution to be granted this kind of license to issue electronic money to blockchains. And the funny thing is actually that money on chain is safer than bank deposits. It's as close to kind of central bank money that you can get. We joined the program. I mean, I think in the current kind of crisis, we feel it's more important than ever that business get kind of easier access to funding and kind of lower the barriers to the global economy, right? That's why we're issuing money on blockchain rather than kind of traditional legacy payment systems. It's a borderless network with no intermediaries or kind of delays in processing. And there isn't kind of, like Lex was talking about, it's kind of like an exploding economy of interlinked applications that is emerging on blockchains that are building new kind of opportunities and financial products and markets. I mean, just kind of think of what we can do together with a more secure system where concepts like, time, distance, counterparty risk are kind of irrelevant, right? Where assets and money can be exchanged in the same network with real-time settlements. So and that's why, I mean, money on chain is good, right? It's borderless and everything, but you need to be able to use your money, right? That's why we are partnering with kind of amazing partners like ConsenSys, right? We're joining forces with the lead blockchain platforms and applications, and definitely ConsenSys are one of the leaders in the space, right? And we also think that the Codify product suites, it's going to make a lot easier for everybody to, for new and existing businesses to issue and trade their assets on blockchain. I mean, that's why we're here.
Great. Tom, do you want to shed a light on, how we're working with Monerium, especially, and also on the Codify asset suite of how we engage with them?
There we go. Yeah, it's pretty much what Arnie was talking about. In order to get more traditional financial players into the system and, people that aren't technology experts or in the game, so to speak, having a way to, we call it fiat on ramp. So a way to get dollars and euros and regular types of currency into the blockchain and cryptocurrency space is going to be key. And so as Arnie said, they've got a pretty cool system where they've got a unique bank account that gets tied to an address, and all of that sort of gets, taken away from the front view of that user. And they just basically say, I'd like to send this money here, or I'd like to use this money there. And everything gets taken care of for them. And so that is one of the scenarios that we don't actually have in our Codify platform. So Monerium is going to bring that functionality to the table and allow us to bring that use case to our joint customers.
And so when you work with our products or work with your clients, have you encountered any challenges or opportunities when it comes to integration and interoperability?
Yeah, I mean, it is a kind of symbiosis partnership, right? Because, I mean, if you only have money, like the traditional banking system has, it's kind of closed loop system where you only have money. But if you have assets and money on the same system, right? We have the money, and the Codify products are creating assets on blockchains, right? Tokenizing everything. Then you can start to promise like delivery versus payment in real time, right? So we kind of need each other, right? Like you're saying, to get better together, right? So, I mean, with challenges in regards to, I think, integration between, Codify and, ConsenSys and Monerium, it's really straightforward because we have everything standardized. We have these ERC kind of standards where it's kind of just straightforward to actually integrate everything. And it's got done also in a kind of decentralized way. If you think about it, you wouldn't even have to have the partnership with us to use our money, right? You could just integrate our contracts and start to use it. I think the challenging part here is going to be to get like mainstream adoption, right? To get businesses to use blockchain and take advantage of them, and just trying to to explain to them, okay, how do they get started? What is a wallet and everything like that? I think that's the kind of the major hurdle. But at least what we're trying to solve is to have real money in the mix, right? So there's no question whether it's legal or what they're doing. I mean, and it's euro is a euro. It's not, because I think it's also, important to understand it's not a stable coin, right? It's more than a stable coin. It's just the euro, or it's the dollar. It's the same thing as in your bank. So businesses, when they are doing, settling invoices, trading assets or whatever, investing in real estate, they know that they're just using regular money for it. But the whole point is that the game changer is that it's on the blockchain. It's not just faster and cheaper. It's so much more than that. It's more opportunities and kind of, getting access to funds, lowering the barriers. I think that's what we're doing together, I think. And I think the challenge is just trying to explain that story to businesses, to get them to try it out. And I mean, it's going to be a little bit tech savvy first, but we're also partnering with other partners and also within ConsenSys that are just making that easier also. So we'll just have to give it a little bit of time, I think.
Well, it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to our Better Together product that you're going to market and follow that that journey. As you said, Arnie, the best way is to partner. We can't do everything ourselves, and sometimes you have
Yeah.
experts that have the technology available. So why not look to that model? I'm going. Thank you so much. I'm going to transition now to Kale Teeter at Microsoft. I've known Kale for probably since the first day I joined ConsenSys 4 years ago. And I know that the relationship with Microsoft and ConsenSys goes way back, especially regarding dev tools and other areas that enable the adoption of blockchain. Kale, do you want to shed a light about, how we have been working together over the years and where does this partnership started?
Yeah, sure. So it's been quite a while with ConsenSys. I think there was a few employees when I first started working with them in 2016. And at that point, infrastructure automation, spinning up nodes, things like that. Infura was brand new at that point. And, we needed a way to do that on the enterprise side as well. So working with ConsenSys, we focused a lot on that. Making it easy for people to spin up nodes to experience blockchains and all this new technology. And as a part of that, I was introduced to someone who worked at Microsoft named Tom Linderman, who was working for the Visual Studio Partner Program. And I think it was at Build back in 2016. We put together a thing with ConsenSys for some dev tools, which were some of the first for the our premier IDE like Visual Studio. And so we put together a Solidity extension to do development pieces with that at that point, and release that to the world. And then since then we've done quite a bit with ConsenSys. Everything from on the DevTools side, very heavily with Truffle and the team there, working on those angles from that perspective. Obviously, we work with Infura pretty much across the board. So we're working on the infrastructure pieces that enable people to run these blockchains or talk to a public blockchain. We have the DevTools side working with our IDE SDKs, and we've also built a lot of integration on serverless code. So obviously from the Microsoft side, we're heavily on cloud services, like what can we improve in our cloud to make it more amenable or easy to use for ISVs and folks like ConsenSys and the product teams that are inside of there, but also our customers. How can they then see those things and take advantage of them and be able to use them to build their applications? So composing these applications together. So it's been a lot over the years now. It's recently it's been a lot more with like folks like Codify. So we've been working with them on different products that they're building to power both the back end, but also provide the surface area for the front end for the enterprise. Typically, now the baseline stuff is also kind of like weaved its way in there with the ConsenSys stuff, which is awesome because we had a heavy focus on, from the Microsoft side on the enterprise side and how we can leverage the talent and the product teams like ConsenSys to build that. But then we also want to we do believe in that public mainnet kind of future that people are going to use. So we're trying to bridge that gap using Baseline as that product.
Kale, for those who are not familiar with Baseline, would you mind taking a step back and explaining how ConsenSys, EY, and Microsoft work together to create this technique for mainnets?
Yeah, sure. So it was a little while back, we kind of got together, the folks you had mentioned in a room and said, we're all kind of doing the same thing here. We all kind of believe in this future of like how public mainnet is going to be used for these applications that businesses are using. But we have these stumbling blocks, right? And we're all trying to solve them in maybe the same way, maybe different ways, but we're all working on the same kind of issues. So why don't we come together and kind of build that as part of a, we'll call it a spec, that basically will be adopted by and used by different products and implementations that come along. And so that's where it was kind of born from. So everything from, if somebody's going to use public mainnet today and they're a business, obviously they're concerned about privacy. That's probably one of the biggest things of, hey, how can I make sure that some of this data is on a need to know basis, but I'm still leveraging this new infrastructure? And so like one of the angles is, around that. There's also a heavy piece on identity side, which kind of goes hand in hand with that. How do I identify people that I am working with on the public mainnet so I know for sure if this person says they're X, that I can prove that they're X. And so like there's a lot of work going on for that. I'm heavily involved in the global phone book, we're calling it, which is basically like a yellow pages for businesses. So as you start to build together, and this is something we saw in the enterprise when we started building consortiums, was like it's kind of a mess when you try to like build one of those, right? There's a lot of phone calls and a lot of out of band communication that has to happen. And so this is an effort to kind of digitize that or automate that in some way, but also still provide people good, strong assurance that they're talking to the person they think they're talking to and not a hacker or somebody being manipulated. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what that is trying to put together a workflow solution. And this is like the biggest industries in the world, right? Like SAP is involved here as well, not just tech companies and, like Microsoft or, the SI partners like E&Y and such. Which are also huge, but big industry is also looking at this and saying, hey, this is cool. We're also looking at it from the dynamic side. And beyond looking at it, we're actually integrating it. Envision was another company who's involved here, and they basically already have.
He's also
Yeah.
one of ConsenSys Partners. Yeah.
Yeah, and they built some integration already into Dynamics, right, to expose some of the blockchain tech into our platform for CRM and ERP. So bottom line is like it's a really cool group of folks who have come together with a common goal of like saying, how can we use public mainnet? What are the blockers? How can we unblock them? Building technical working groups and specs around that and solving these problems.
Great. And we know that Microsoft is a big advocate of open source and has worked very closely with the Quorum teams. And now that Quorum was handed over to ConsenSys, how does that sort of three-way partnership continue to evolve? And what do you see for Quorum moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been involved with Quorum since day one. I think it was when the EEA was being formed. It was actually when that thing kind of first like came out into the public. But working with JP Morgan Chase back when that thing was created, the engineering team there, Sam, and all the folks involved there, it's been an awesome partnership. I mean, that's our premier solution in Azure today for enterprise with we call it Azure Blockchain Service. So basically, when you spin that up behind the scenes, you're using Quorum. We've worked, over the years to try to figure out like better ways to onboard that. We've had solutions actually out there running. So in live production, we have the Xbox team doing a royalties program with some big publishers in the gaming space, and that's all powered by Quorum. We have a case study publicly about that. We worked with ConsenSys in partnership with LVMH, which for those who don't know, that's kind of the Louis Vuitton brand, a holding company on that. So there's a bunch of brands underneath that. And we worked with them on a solution, again, using Quorum to kind of power that back end. So it is the premier right now. Now, I don't want to downplay Besu. We've also worked with Besu at ConsenSys quite a bit. So we want to support all those things. It's just Quorum was first, right? So that's why that ended up in ABS first. But we also have offerings up there. We've helped Besu get their stuff into the marketplace to get more exposure. Fully support the Besu guys. Super awesome tech. But I think the coming together with this coming into ConsenSys, it totally makes sense for us. And we have a relationship with both teams there, so that's not really a problem. And I think it's going to be awesome. I think there's a great team there who's working on the ConsenSys Quorum thing. I think the team that JP Morgan was awesome to get that kind of bootstrapped. And my goal is to really just keep bringing back some of the feedback from the enterprise side of here's what they need, here's what we should tweak. A lot of things around consortium joining, like I mentioned, the global phone book, but also how can we facilitate that a bit more in these products going forward. So I'm excited to keep working with ConsenSys to make Quorum bigger.
Thank you. And one thing we didn't mention maybe at the beginning is, our application partners or technical partners are able to build application on top of all our products across the ConsenSys products. The reseller opportunities are focused mostly on Quorum and Codify because it's an easy way for our consulting firms or systems integrators to embed that in the solution that they offer to their clients. So one last question to both of you, Kale and Arnie, but also Tom, actually. If people want to learn more about how to get engaged in your solution, whether it's building applications or using the tools that we've developed together, how would they go about that?
I'll let the others go. I'm happy to follow.
No, I mean, from the ConsenSys side, all of our products, like Vanessa said, they're products, but they're also platforms. And so we've got pretty nice documentation and API for, Quorum, Codify. Truffle is now a big part of what we're going to be doing with the community. Even Diligence has got some tools, one called MythX that has an API that you can kind of latch onto and offer your own software that integrates back with our platform. So right on our website, you can read about the partner program, as well as what some of the benefits are and get at all that documentation. Once you become a partner and you log in, you get to come into the portal and you can see some of that training material that I mentioned, past webinars, decks that you can look at. You can request co-marketing benefits and some cool things like that to amplify the business. And there's a link that Vanessa just dropped in the chat as well. Nicely done.
Arnie?
Yeah, you can go to monerium.com to get all of the information. So we built a sandbox where you can actually try it out, get a kind of a test bank account and just use the test nets to get fake money and try out and actually integrate with your solutions. And I think what's great with this partnership with ConsenSys is actually like your network also. Like we already have customers planned now for early next year. We're going to issue e-money for them also. Yeah, I think it's a great partnership.
Thanks, Arnie. Kale, maybe the last word if we can take questions.
Yeah, sure. I just dropped a link in the chat there as well. And that's one of our services. And if you, that's just one, that's our Azure blockchain service. But inside of there, if you click on the documentation, the case studies, all that stuff's up there. So you can read about all that stuff. You can learn about it. There, in the documentation, it has complete walkthroughs of like how to use this stuff. And it's not just about like the service or the platform. It also shows like the Visual Studio extensions, the logic apps, like the serverless code. So it like spiders off into all those things. So depending on what you're looking to achieve up there, you can easily go see that. We have a bunch of videos up there that also get linked out to there. It's called Block Talk, which has, really short kind of 10-minute videos to kind of walk through that stuff. So if you're into watching video, kind of podcasts on that kind of stuff, you can see that as well.
Great. Before I wrap up, I want to ask Kugan if we want to take any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great discussion. Thank you all so much for being able to highlight so many cool different enterprise level stuff happening. Nana, do we have a question for the panel?
Yeah, we'll take a question from Ron. He asks, does digital money have any benefits over e-money? Is there a role for both in the future economy? And perhaps Arnie, you could shine some light.
All right. I don't actually know what's the difference between the digital money and e-money, but I can at least explain what e-money is. I mean, with e-money, it's like I said earlier, that's the closest thing that you can get to central bank money, because unlike a bank, we're not allowed to do very many things with your money. Like a bank would actually loan your money. You're actually loaning your money to a bank. But with us, we're only allowed to safeguard it. So, and we actually have to keep more than what we safeguard to keep it extra safe. And also the e-money is unconditionally redeemable by law also. So if you hold e-money on a blockchain, we are by law kind of required to redeem your money if you want out of the system. So, and we can't take any fees for that also. So so I would, if we're thinking like bank deposits versus that, I think that's the difference. You know, we built our system on top of blockchain because there are obvious, you know, technological reasons why we would do that, and the opportunities are greater there. But we are the bridge between both worlds. So the whole point here is that for the next years, you won't have to choose either or. You can either be, you know, have your money in your banking system, you can pay salary. Well, you can't do that in blockchain. Maybe that's possible next year, pay taxes, and you can then just move the blockchain to the money to blockchain, like seamlessly. And you can enjoy both worlds. You could actually get paid because you have a bank account, right, on the blockchain. You can ask any customers that haven't migrated to blockchain just to pay into your bank account, just as you would at a normal bank account. But the money is instantly issued as e-money to blockchain. And then you can automate the complete process from there, or just use a wallet like MetaMask to go to an e-commerce or whatever that is emerging right now and just spend actual money. And the merchant will get paid instantly. So I think that's how it's going to live together, digital bank and e-money on chain, is that we're just going to be, the experience is going to be a little bit seamless. You're just going to be able to do a lot more with e-money on chain. If that answers the question.
Thank you so much. So I'm conscious of time because we have 1 minute. So I'm just going to wrap up and just highlight that the power of the community in the Ethereum ecosystem is already extraordinary. And now that we're moving to applications and implementations that are in the enterprise space, we need to come up with the same, you know, mindset of leveraging each other's strengths and partnering to drive adoption, and also the convergence that maybe Lex alluded to between private blockchains and public blockchains. So we're excited, you know, to help in that journey through the partner program and also through our DevRel team. So thank you very much for today's discussion. I want to thank our panelists. Thank you, Arnie. Thank you, Kale. Thank you, Tom. And everyone have a great day.